so new business, post-public workshop update presentation by Midpoint representatives and open comment period. Public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. No annexation, I repeat, no annexation petition has been submitted to the city. This agenda item is informational only. No vote of the City Commission will take place. We want to start with someone from Midpoint, or do you want to make some statements first, Mr. Flagg?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, my name is Byron Flagg. I'm an attorney with the law firm Bear Robinson, and I am of counsel to the city on land use and development issues. Just to help explain what's going on tonight, at the request of the Midpoint representatives, they requested to come back before the City Commission. Of course, under the laws of the state of Florida, the Commission cannot sit as a body unless it holds a public meeting like this. And so this is viewed sort of as a continuation of the public workshop that was held last time, that there's currently no petition for annexation before the city at this time, so there is nothing for the City Commission to vote on tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Williams?
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, for the record, I'm Joey Williams. I'm counsel on behalf of Midpoint. We do have people that want to speak. Last time we were here, we were prepared to unveil and show as a concept what it was. We really weren't at that time anticipating a vigorous debate. So the developers not had a chance to respond to many of the issues that were brought forward. I think that some of the people that want to speak will touch upon some of those things. But I would ask in courtesy if I could reserve to close and have more than 3 minutes on behalf of the developer to summarize and make a few points.
Okay, my name is Darlene Harris, 511 South Boulevard East, Macclenny. I'm here on behalf of my twin sister Elaine. She has just got through with radiation treatments and she cannot be in public at this time. So she's wrote a letter that she wants me to read tonight. To whom it may concern, my name is Elaine McDonald, 12701 West State Road, 121, Macclenny, Florida. I've been privileged to have lived in Baker County since I was in the 7th grade. I have worked in Baker County all my life as a business owner, as well as the state and the private sector. In the 70s, I worked as a secretary bookkeeper for Dupree Construction Company for over 10 years. In 1973, the football stadium was redesigned by Earl Nadd Sr. and Larry Dupree. I was the person tasked with selling the lifetime seating at the stadium, where to this day, my family still owns their seats. Earl Nadd and my stepmother, Bernice Nadd Yarber, were the two largest contributors for the project, along with the other city of Macclenny. Excuse me, I'm not a public speaker, so you bear with me. Okay, along with other businesses and private citizens. And I want to note that Billy Nabb Complex was also built by the Nabb family as well. To say that the Nabb family has never been contributed to the city of Macclenny is wrong. It was said in the last workshop, this family didn't pay taxes, the same as other citizens, and that is not correct. Several members of the Nabb family live within the city limits and or have owned businesses within the city limits, paying taxes just like every other citizen. In the 80s, my sister and I started a business from the ground up, the Sports Shack, and was in business for 12 years, paying taxes every year before selling it. The Sports Shack is still open and within the city limits. My husband, along with my 3 brothers, owned a business, Yarber Gas, for over 16 years in the city limits before selling it. Again, they paid taxes every year as a business owner to the city of Macclenny. I raised 2 children in Baker County. They are fortunate to be able to work and or live in Baker County. My son has been a teacher in our school system for over 20 years and owned a home in the city of Macclenny for almost 10 years, again paying taxes. My son has had other job offers at other school districts, but has always told us, this is my home and these are my kids and this is where I want to work. My daughter lives and works in Baker County. She has worked in the public sector for over 10 years and works with citizens of Baker County daily. Her and her husband have owned 2 different homes in Baker County, paying taxes to our county. I feel like my entire family, immediate and extended, has made a lot of contributions in a lot of different ways because this is our home and we love Baker County. So please know that I am 100% in favor of the project, knowing that the growth is coming, but it needs to come in a positive way for our small city and county. A planned development is a positive way, not negative. Thank you, and I pray that each of you will search your hearts and do the right thing for all of the taxpayers of Baker County. Approve this development, which will bring jobs, increase the tax base, and allow others to live and work in our county just as my family has. Elaine McDonald.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Ann Yarbrough, 7539 John Road Road. And I was born and raised in Baker County, been here all my life. I've worked in Baker County almost all my life. When I first got out of high school, there was not really jobs here. I didn't go to college, couldn't afford to go to college. But I went to work in Jacksonville at State Farm Insurance and worked there for 5 years until I had my son and quit work. Mike had a good job also in Jacksonville, Florida. And so it seems like that's what our community does. We transport back to Jacksonville and our children. But my children chose to go to college at University of Central Florida, and that's where they stayed, was in Orlando, because there's really not a whole lot of job opportunity here in Baker County. I know that the last meeting, there was concerns about the traffic and about the schools and about the water and the sewer, but I did not hear jobs. I didn't hear about the 6,500 jobs except through the presentation from England, Timms, and Dillard. So I'm for the project. We need jobs in Baker County. And so that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. I apologize for my voice, really under the weather. Brad Patterson, 9750 Walker Road. I appreciate y'all letting me have the opportunity to speak. I just want to come tonight and express my views. I understand that development on this scale can create concerns. I think a lot of those concerns are valid and reasonable and should be considered thoughtfully. But my own personal opinion is that this is being framed in yes, sir. Sorry. My concern is that the debate over this is being framed improperly. I don't believe that it's either we have this development or we don't have the development. I think history shows that growth is coming to Baker. We've had a number of subdivisions that have been built over the last 10 or 15 years. Some of those have been great. Some may not have brought the diversified tax base that we would all like. I think that the proper way to view this is to view it as a development versus future development. And the question would be, can we reasonably expect a more beneficial development that beneficial in the sense that the county and the community would get behind? Of course, there's no crystal ball, but given that the growth that we've seen, I do think it's reasonable to expect that any future proposal may not offer the same benefits that this one is offering tonight. Of course, that's speculation, but there's always going to be tension between public good and private entities. I just think that the proper way to view this is this proposal versus any future proposals, because that land's not going to sit there, forever and ever, amen. There will be future developments at some point, and the question is, do we reasonably expect those developments to offer greater benefit? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Glenn Yarber, 6514 Home Again Lane, Macclenny, Florida. I want to first start by talking about the trucks that are going through the city of Macclenny. I know all you guys are concerned about them. A lot of our citizens are concerned about these trucks. My wife and I used to own the building right at 228 and Highway 9. When we owned the building, the balcony of that building was tore off 3 different times. Cost us thousands of dollars of our money to repair that. There's been numerous accidents from the trucks from the distribution center coming through the clinic. Also, I don't know how many times they've replaced the curbing and the on 228 and 121. I don't know if you know it or not, but the Baker County Development Commission has just received a $3 million grant to put a new road going behind the Walmart distribution center. Hey, I'm all for that. It's for more jobs. It's for more manufacturing and for more more industrial. But that will add more trucks through the city of Macclenny. I would like to know, and I don't know if you're going to allow us to ask questions tonight, but I'd like to know what the cities, have you got a plan for those trucks in the future if we don't move forward with this type of development? Because I want to answer later on the mayor's concern on the one way in and one way out. I think I've got an answer for that. But I would like to ask the questions, have you got a plan?
We have to, what that involves is engineers, traffic engineers and DOT. So they would have to come in and, because in order to make an educated decision about that, we need to know about volume and whatever their prognostications are on that, because we are not, at least I don't, unless any of you guys have snuck out and got an engineering degree and I didn't know about it. We have to have that data and those studies before that's something that we can figure out.
And that's really good, what the DOT does. I had the opportunity to sit in the DOT meetings with the county for over a year, probably meeting with the DOT on the flyover. That was, and that is a story in itself, why that flyover didn't get done. But it had a lot to do too, there wasn't a south end, but now there is. I'm talking about from the Walmart store. If you think about it, that's going to be 4 lanes, 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out for a period of time. Not forever, it's a period of time. Because that flyover will be built. The DOT told us back then, we want to do this. We want to provide the funds for this flyover. But now that the developer has agreed to carry the road in there so far, I think now we can go back to the DOT. I think Jimmy might have said something about it in the last meeting that we had, about he's met with the DOT about going. So I think, and remember, there's not going to be 2,500 homes tomorrow or next year or the year after that. It's going to be done in stages. So therefore, we're going to go together. Look, the city came to us asking us, would we consider annexing into the city? And we was excited about it. We wanted to do it because it's a win-win situation, we think, for everyone, for the city, for us, and also we knew the road was going to eventually, the road's going to get done. So I think it's a win-win situation for us. I think we can help you on, I got ahead of myself a little bit. I want to catch up on my notes here because for the last 14 years, we've averaged, and I Googled this today, on our census, we've averaged probably 134.5 citizens of growth per year. 2010, it was 27,067. This is the whole county. 2024, 28,950. So you 800 something people. That's what you got plus. It's going to take more than that because if we all know that our schools are short on pupils. They're I think they've got over a $2 million deficit. I mean, they're gonna have to draw out of their relief funds to balance their budget. Our county's gonna have to do the same thing. And I'm not down on the county, it's just a fact, because we're not producing enough tax money. They're trying to maybe get a gas tax to help out. With that type of growth, we cannot be sustained. I mean, inflation has hit y'all just like it's hit us. You can't get employees unless you pay them more. And you're gonna be bringing in the same amount of taxes. Your equipment cost is more. Their health insurance is more. So the cost is more. We think if you can partner with us and then annex this thing into the city, we can solve together, we can solve these issues. But the one thing we cannot do is kick it down the road any longer. Time is of the essence. Thank God we got a president right now that is real positive. And the economy, I mean, now is the time to move. We need jobs in this community. We need them. This developer is going to provide them. He's going to provide them, but with the amount of jobs he's got coming, we need a little help. And so, appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
I would like, one more time, sorry. I would like for you to maybe let us know something tonight. I know we're not voting on anything, but if you want to move forward with us, then we welcome it. We want it. Thank you.
I have a question for staff. Do we know what personnel who the city approached in regarding annexation?
Yes, I can kind of clear that up a little bit. So
Okay.
if you remember kind of the story, you guys, and so it started out where, and bear with me because it'll take a little time to figure, to say this, but so we were in a meeting with the Richie Schultz a while back. It's probably 2 years now, and so this idea came up, and it was going to be, there was one individual, one business was going to come into the eastern part of the county, and it was going to create jobs. So we said, yes, certainly we would provide water and sewer to this particular business. I think it fell through since then. So for job creation, that's one of the if you remember, that's one of the mandates that you guys have given me for the use of our capacity. So it fit into that mold. So we said, certainly we would. So it kind of rocked on a little bit, and that kind of went away. And so we got back with Mr. Schultz again, and at that time I told him that it looks like we wouldn't have the capacity to do everything you wanted to do this, which was all job creation at that time. It wasn't anything about any residential. It was about job creation. So and we were told, okay, that's okay. We can put our own wastewater plant in the development. So that's okay. Well, if y'all want to do that, then we've got licensed operators, and maybe we can work some kind of deal with you guys. Maybe we could run the plants for you guys after y'all get a bill. So that's kind of what we thought we was going to do. So several months later, I think Chief Cruz, Assistant Manager Cruz, was in a meeting where it kind of came up that they kind of, I think even Tim Miller kind of said, well, we're kind of moving away from that idea and maybe going with another utility company. North Florida Regional Utilities was in the process of getting their permits. So at that time, when I found out that, I said, well, I came back to you guys. If you remember, I came back to you guys and said, hey, there's a possibility that another utility company may be coming to our borders. So you guys directed me to go back to Mr. Schultz and say, well, give us a shot at it. Let us look at it and see if there's something we can do. And at that time, it was all about industrial job growth. That's what it was about. So we went back to Mr. Schultz and kind of talked about that. Give us a chance before we just give up on the project. And then, as it evolved more and more, then the residential component was added to the project that originally we didn't know about or didn't think about. So at that point, we knew that was going to be certainly a concern with the community and my board, another 2,500 homes out there. So that's kind of where we got today.
And I'm not throwing you under the bus by no means, but you're right. We met in June, and when you found out about the residential thing, you know, we still wanted to move forward, and that's all I'm saying.
That's right.
That-
And that's what we're at today.
I think we can certainly help the city out with the water and sewer. I think that can be handled.
So it's kind of an evolving fluid process over the last really 2 years,
Right.
how we've got to here. So,
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to confirm what our city manager just said, because he had told me, you know, about that it was going to be warehousing and industrial, and I know I was excited. You know, we're going to bring, and then I think about maybe 2 to 3 months ago, that's whenever I found out about the 2,500 homes, which changed, you know, it changed what we was expecting. So, but anyway, I just wanted to second that.
And that was my recollection as well. I just thought it was important that was shared in a public setting. Someone else, please.
My name is Dr. Kyle Nebb. I grew up at 447 East Boulevard South. I went to college for a bit. We were walking 1 block away. I lived at 480 South First Street. My sister did about the same thing. She's about 2 further blocks away. I'm probably one of the people that actually walked to this meeting tonight from my house. I don't know who else from the family is going to speak tonight. If he was to ask them, they would probably tell you about the same story. You grew up here. Maybe you moved away for work. Maybe you went to the military, served your country. Maybe you got some college. When you were done, you came back home. And our family's called Baker County home for over 100 years. The piece of property we're talking about isn't something our family picked up for a quick turnover 5 or 10 years ago. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Piece of property's been in our family for over 70 years, to the best of my knowledge. Matter of fact, the Navs were involved in the first big change to the county when they built I-10. Cut our piece of property in half. We're enterprising people, so quickly we realized it needed some grass. We drive down I-10, the grass that was laid, that was our family, dug it up from a family farm. Time moves on. Baker County changes. I love our little town. I've heard our family over the years have proposition after proposition, big companies out of South Florida, other places come in, businesses you would never want in this county. And they turned them down, or it didn't work out, it didn't fit with our little community. And I hate to see it change. As a doctor, I hate January because all your insurance has changed. I gotta do everything again. The problem we have is that we're a small farming community where people can't make a living farming. We have the same problem every little town down the I-10 corridor between here and Tallahassee has. We're lucky enough we've latched onto a big city. The little cities that weren't far enough, they shrunk, they disappeared, or they latched onto Gainesville, Lake City, other places of Cali. Like it or not, it's not the Baker County I grew up in. It's home. I love it, and I hate to see it change. I hate little bits. Every day I get new patients from out of town. Great people, nice people, but it's not a Roden, it's not a Dobson. They're good people. But for better or worse, Baker County has become a bedroom community of Jacksonville. And that's what it's gonna keep going. 30 years from now, Dobson, Nab, Roden, Rollerson, it won't mean anything like it did 20 years ago. I hate that, but that's the future. Now, do I wanna see a big community come, a big massive change? I don't love it, but I like the idea of our community being able to steer it and actually getting something back out of it. As a whole, a lot of your people that have moved here are either retired or they work in town, they play in town, they spend their money in town, they can't afford to live in town. Yes, they're a part of the community. A lot of them moved here, they don't have kids, they're retired, they're here, but they're not. You have a chance to make a meaningful change. And again, as alluded to by some of my family earlier, this thing ain't gonna be built in 5 minutes. You're talking 5, 6, 10 years before it's fully built out. Is it gonna be easy? No. Is it gonna be some changes, some hard stuff? Absolutely. We'll be hiring more staff, other businesses will actually be able to grow a little bit. Instead of struggling, taking along, shutting down, somebody else moving into your business couldn't make it because you couldn't have people to go for it to shop there. I just think we should think about that. The construction, that's not a big deal. Everybody likes jobs, we don't like that.
the problems change. The engineers can get up and talk about what they're gonna do to mitigate it, this, that, and the other. The problem is, it's the Becker County we love, and none of us wanna see it change. The problem's gonna be, no matter what we do tonight, or this great board does, it's gonna change. It's just, do we have a chance to be a part of it, or we're gonna be alone for the ride? Thank you.
David Burnham, 1051 Eagle Creek, Brandon, East Central Florida. Lifelong resident, 57 years, well, 56, even on to that. 57, trying to get there. Forgive me, I'm fighting this, whatever's going on. But I have no affiliation with the developer. I know him, met him on the meeting. I'm not here on strictly his behalf. I'm here on 100% behalf of, I love this community. I've been here all my life. Growing up poor, same story as many others. We all knew growing up that we were going to go to Jacksonville for a job. Unless you work for the government entity here, you are not going to have a job here. So, yeah, that's the way life was. As I progressed in what I did, starting out as a laborer, $5 an hour, I had a shovel because I quit school, getting a knucklehead. I worked my way up. And I became a foreman at 23, superintendent at 29, and vice versa story. And I started my own company at 36. At that point in time, that was 20 years ago, seemed like yesterday. At that point in time, I could have moved my business to Jacksonville. That's where all my work was. In fact, all my work there is today. I've done 2 small jobs in Macclenny or in Becker County since I've been in business 20 years. Small jobs. Equivalates what I did in that one small job to what I do in one day now. In fact, I did the expansion of the city parking lot, thank God, against that, because I was in a bad time, we needed that. And so, but I decided to keep my business here in Becker County, because this is my community. I wanted to create a footprint that I could serve this community with everything that's within me, with everything that we didn't have going on. I could create jobs, good jobs, not minimum wage jobs. I mean, our lowest paid job pushes $50,000 a year, of course, with overtime. Our highest paid job is in the 6 figures. We bring that to Becker County. We employ, we probably work over 200 people. We employ 140 people direct. So we do have a big impact in this county. I for one, want to see it become prosperous. We have a pauper's mindset, and we've always had it as long as I've been alive, of the way we want to keep our rural character. Well, rural character don't have to mean you got to live in poverty. It doesn't mean, used to a $50,000 a year job was a good job. It's not some more. It's poverty line. We want to bring jobs in, or I want to see jobs come in that's above the poverty line. I want to see my grandchildren who go to college could come here and work and not live where they go to college. I want them to be able to have administrative type jobs that they could use their degree. There is none here, there's very little here that's above the poverty line. And you know what jobs I'm talking about. I want to see this come. This is a good opportunity that the developer is bringing in these 6,500 jobs, probably manufacturing jobs. And most of these companies that I believe is coming in has high-end administrative jobs. That's where our children that's coming out of college could go. The people that don't go to college, like I did myself, could have a well-paying job that is within these industries. So we've been shifting from how much we think we need, or I think we need those 6,500 jobs here. I want to go into the retail part. Now, we all know, nobody said it, it's some kind of a hidden secret, but nobody can commit to it. I bet it's Publix. I can pay no money on it. That's what they come. And I, for one, that's where I shop at. I go to Oak Leaf, or I go to Lake City to do my monthly grocery shopping. And I go to the locals here just for something short and do, and I've done it all my life. But typically, we go to Publix. We love that experience. We want it here. That's what I believe that's going to come. Don't know 100%, but I'm reading between the lines. I think there's other restaurants, national chains that we go and take a rise and have a date. We go once again to Jacksonville, to Lake City to go out on a date. I would love to just spend that here. I believe it's going to come.
I believe this opens up that corridor for that to come. So this, I think this is a once in generational, opportunity here. This has not been presented to us that I know of this magnitude. To come in with an industrial jobs with this commercial impact, that has been, since I've been around, I am in the middle of everything like y'all are, but I haven't heard of nothing like this. That could create in the area where it's at. It's not in our rural area of Sanderson, or it's not in our rural area of Glenn. You know, other places that may have done it in the past that said it could do it. This is pressing towards Jacksonville, assets of 90 and Interstate 10. It's the most opportune spot that it could possibly be. With a developer that could go anywhere he wants to go, but he sees something worthwhile in our community, as do I. I believe this will be a good fit for our community. I know it's going to be painful for the process of growth, but we're smart enough to stay ahead of that growth. We're smart enough to put things in motion here that could handle growth as it comes. So I'm in favor for this. But I do want to address one other item. That's definitely the elephant in the room. Is it the 2,500 homes? Is that how much it is?
I've dumped here 2,500 plus townhomes, or including townhomes, 2,500, I'm not sure.
All right. So there's 2,500 homes. That seems to be the issue right there. And I know there's water and sewer impacts of that, and I know that. I know it's going to be a challenge, right? I think there's some leeway with reuse main. Just like Mr. Miller said that night, it takes 4 houses, full-time sewer to produce 1 house for irrigation. And so I think there's something going on there. I don't want to go on forever about that, but I think there's some resolve there. I don't think we need to take the blind eye to that. That these 2,500 homes could come in, and we're still a small community. We're still a small community with 2,500 homes. As Ryan would tell you, I didn't ask him this, but we graduate over 300 children a year that graduates. Take ones that don't graduate like I didn't. You take ones that drop down. We probably producing 400 children a year as adults. That's from our community of growth. But how much did he say? 800 people, how many years? And that means everybody's moved away that we produced. We don't have the jobs. We don't have the homes. You can't find anywhere to rent right now. So this creates an upswing that is, I think, is a generational opportunity today. And I'm going to be for this. But there is one element I want to bring to the table, because I asked to be meeting private so I can bring numbers. I'm going to give a number here of why, because there's some people that's the buddies here, and they love me no matter what I'm about to say. But a 75-foot wide lot versus a 55 or 50-foot wide lot. The significance to that, I know y'all dig your heels in on that and want to do that. But let me tell you in a snapshot of what the difference is. Well, in all out, probably all in cost for a lot to be developed is $100,000 for a lot. That's something in it. The reason it costs so much is because infrastructure, the roads, the water, the sewer, the storm, everything that takes to build the infrastructure of a community has doubled since 2020. And I can show you that proof every day, all day. And it's doubled. It's a tough task to get these lots under $100,000 in cost. And that's a 55-footer. so a 75-foot wide lot is even probably going to be more. But let's keep that number at 100,000 as an example, as a round figure. So when you do a 75-foot versus a 50-foot, that's approximately 30% difference between the two. I can't argue that. But yet, so let's put this scenario a little deeper. A 200-unit subdivision, that would be, or a community, that would be at a 50 lots, 50 footers. You would shrink that down. You would shrink that down to 140 lots. That's 60 less homes, 60 less tax dollars, 60 less connection fees, 60 less impact fees, 60 less of everything. That you're constricting that same road that you will be maintaining, the same length of road, the same sewer, the same lift station, the same storm drain, the same ponds, the same everything, with 60 less, 60. That is a pile of taxes that you need as a county. We talk about, well, we can't get, we're in deficits everywhere because of tax status. But we want to cut our hands off with that extra 20-foot lot, 10 foot on both sides. it doesn't make, it makes sense because you think it's better, but it's really not. I think the person who wants these type of lots, these type of communities, are okay with a smaller lot in a bigger house. If you take that number, there's $30,000 to $40,000 difference that has been put into the dirt. That takes away from the size of your house. That $30,000 to $40,000 equivalents to today's house per square foot cost. That's about 200 square foot less they put in their house to have in that yard. That's 2 extra bedrooms for their children. So the lot is bigger, actually, I think is what Mr. Miller was saying that night, is actually deeper, has more square footage of the lot, so it's a bigger lot, it's just narrow. I think, probably a lot of us in this room don't like to live in subdivisions like that, we like acres, but a lot of people do. And don't restrict them to the opportunity to live and put monies into their house, instead of the 10th extra foot inside the lot, yard that they're not even gonna enjoy. They'd rather have their house. You'd rather have tax states. You'd rather have the upswing of the narrower lot. And so I'm asking today is to be open-minded on that opportunity, to get the density that's needed for that same size. I'm sorry, I'm going south of this goal. And once again, I think it's a generational opportunity. It's rare that this comes along the way this is. I know there's challenges, but I know that you, as councilman, is built for a time as this. There's a reason why you're here today, and it's for this moment. Which side of history you will be on? And I'm asking you that today, to think hard about this. Make this happen. Because I think if you make it happen, you're going to be on the right side of history. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. If you would, Mr. City Manager, we have a gentleman that's submitted a letter. He was not able to physically be here tonight, but he asked the letter be read into the record.
Sure, I actually have a couple, darling, I got some letters too. Anyway, former city manager retired, Gerald Dobson, has sent me a couple of letters over the last month or so. He's not able to be here, but he's monitored this, and they were in talking to different folks and all. So I just want to read these for the record as well. I promised him I would do that. So this first one is dated January 7th, 2025. It says, Dear Mike, I recently was encouraged to read in Baker County Press the city is having a meeting with some developers concerning the annexation of approximately 2,000 acres of land adjacent to the city limits to the east. As a person who loves and wants the best for our city, I feel this would be an appropriate time to listen and work with this development, which would allow the city to acquire infrastructure such as the expansion of our water and wastewater capacity needs at a much more reasonable cost to the taxpayers of the city of Macclenny. I know there's some settlements, some people do not want expanding growth in Baker County. However, I believe that view is realistic, with Florida being one of the most attractive states in our country. I feel like due to the timing of this annexation project, the secret would be to get ahead of and manage growth instead of being against growth. Using this opportunity to put yourself in a better position to manage growth. I'm confident, Mike, in your ability to work with the mayor and city commissioners along with city staff to implement this process. I would ask if you are not against doing so, please share this letter with the mayor, commissioners, and share with the public my position on this project. And as you know, it was my pleasure to serve as city manager for many years, and I only want what I feel is good for the future of our city. Signed, Gerald Dobson, and of course I did honor Gerald's request, and the mayor and city commissioner had a copy of this letter. Then he sent me another one on January 27th, 2025. And really just a follow-up to January 7th letter regarding the Midpoint project. Dear Mike, as I follow up to my previous letter concerning annexation of property east of Macclenny for the Midpoint project, it is very apparent to me the location of this property, as well as the infrastructure of the city, in particular water and sewer, makes the city the only logical entity to engage in this process. It is my understanding in reading the Baker County Press that Phil Roden was present at our original meeting concerning this project. My friendship and respect for Phil speaks for itself. I have been very conscious of speaking on this project only to you and ask if you would read a copy of my letters at the appropriate time during the meeting. I would like to close with this. I realize there are many challenges in negotiating this issue. However, as I stated before, I have full confidence in you the mayor, the city commissioners, city staff, city planners, and engineers to reach an agreement that is beneficial not only to the developer, but certainly to the city. I strongly encourage this mayor and city commissioner to make a motion with the intention to move forward on an annexation condition upon reaching an agreement that is acceptable for both parties within an agreed amount of time. Thank you for your time, and would like to discuss further, please let me know. So, signed, Gerald Dobson. Of course, if Gerald's asked for, the motion, and of course, y'all heard tonight, there's nothing to vote on tonight.
Hello. Member of the City Council, Mayor Bryant, fellow residents of Baker County. For those who don't know me, I'm Jane Rowe. I'm here as representative of myself and my family, the Knapp family. As Dr. Nash said earlier, we've been here for generations and generations and generations. Our grandparents lived here, our parents lived here, our children live here, our grandchildren live here, and we want to stay here. We envision a future where generations yet to come can share in the bounty of a vibrant, flourishing hometown. Throughout our lives, we have devoted our careers and engaged in community services with unwavering commitment to this county. Our intimate understanding of the values, traditions, and daily realities of this rural community informs our perspective on this progress. We recognize that any development must not only respect our cherished past, but also pave the way for meaningful, substantial growth. It is with this in mind that we have chosen to sell our property to Midpoint Commons developer Mr. Richie Schultz, because we firmly believe that their master plan project and agri-food community will inject positive vitality into our community while preserving our unique identity. I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Schultz. He's had office here for a couple of years. He has met tirelessly with our community. He's been to a lot of our community events, and he kind of has a reality of what our community is like. And he's committed to this community. In closing, I would like to thank each of you for your time you invested in learning about this development. By moving forward, you're not merely endorsing a project, you're endorsing a future that will create job opportunities, community engagement, and local prosperity, which is in the reach for all Baker County citizens and for our future generations. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and for allowing us to share this remarkable opportunity for economic growth. Thank you.
And as Mr. Williams makes his way up, I just want to ask one quick question. It was answered, but I couldn't hear it. Did the number of homes, you say it did or did not include the townhomes?
It did.
Say it did.
Does. So that number includes the single-family dwellings and the townhouses? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for this extended agenda item. Great comments. I learned a lot myself. I thought I knew a lot about the project, but I learned more tonight by listening to the people that are here. First of all, some of you may not know the developer. We think of a developer as a consortium of robber barons, or it's a corporation. It's actually people. Richie, will you raise your hand in the back? Richie Schultz right back there, he's here with us. He has an office in Macclenny. He's devoted a lot of time and resources to this project, unlike any other developer that I've ever heard of wanting to work in our county. And I am pleased to work with him and pleased to advocate for the development. In trying to get my mind wrapped around this issue, a couple of things really puzzled me. I was surprised that there was not a reflex of enthusiasm for the concept, because it seems to me to make so much sense on its face, realizing the details have to be worked out. I want to review a few of the positives in a minute. But I also was puzzled, how does one disagree with Phil Roden? I love Phil. And he has a lot of respect, well-earned and proper in this community. But I do disagree with Phil on some things. And I don't know whether it's because he hasn't spoke with the developer and refined a few details. I don't know. we want to work with him and his concern. He's a former city manager in a line of fine city managers. We heard former city manager Dawson's position on it. But there are some things I want to clarify. There's a lot to go over. A development of this size and various considerations can be overwhelming. It takes a lot of time. It takes an education both in learning about those things in general and learning about the project in particular. There's an issue about school, law enforcement, safety, and how in the world are we going to have the money? It's as if all of a sudden we're going to have 3,000 kids show up for school. That is just not going to happen. And are we going to have the money? That's 2,000 plus acres. It's a master planned community. And if and when the key is turned and it's ready for sale, the property appraiser reappraises. Taxes start getting paid at the value at that time. Actually, it's front loaded. The revenue streams can be very well calculated and estimated for government entities, including the city and all branches of the county and the school board, to have some idea, where does this project and the revenue it produces fit into a plan for the future? That needs to be stressed. Money will show up pretty doggone quick. And for the city, if this is in the city, it's professional. It will change what's possible for the city in the scope of its operations and goals. So that's the first thing. There will be money available to anticipate and fund preparation for future needs, whether it's school, whether it's fire, whether it's law enforcement. Now, the developer took the time to approach the sheriff and his command staff and said, hey, we've got an idea. And we're not asking you to come here and bless this thing and join in a PR campaign for us. We really want your professional advice about this project as structured. Does it present any problems with your ability to police and secure and protect and respond to what we're proposing here? And Under Sheriff Cruz is here. And if you have any questions about those issues, I'm sure he'll be glad to respond briefly. If there's any questions about any uncertainty from the commissions.
You have anything you want to say, just as a brief statement or anything?
Never pass something off.
I always try to pass it. I'll just, add a few things. In Mr. Beal we had some, I've had plenty of phone calls about concerns as it relates to both cost and crime. That's our biggest question is cost and crime. What would something like this do to that? So historically, I've been here for 35 years. I kind of know the ebbs and flows of our community and how that works. Baker County didn't always have the same number of population it has today. Go back to when I was here 35 years ago. That population has grown in that town too. But I can tell you this, if we petition the government for grant money, the first thing they tell us is you don't qualify because you don't pass the first test. That first test is your crime rate. Our crime rate ain't high enough. We always got the lowest crime rate, so we don't qualify for additional funds. So what that tells you is that we've experienced growth over the last 35 years that I've been here, but we've managed to be able to deal with crime on that level. Now, doesn't crime and calls for services two different things? Population will bring calls for service and those type of things. Those is where you're going to see some of your growth. But a lot of times crime is something that you dealt with as an agency related to trends. What do we see coming? What's the advancements in law enforcement? And how you follow those advancements to stay in front of it. Non-residential impact is something that probably a lot of folks around here don't realize that we have. That really affects our numbers related to both contact and some crime.
most of you know that if you think of St. George all the way down to across 185 to Baxter, anybody that lives in that area, all of their service and business is done here. They go to our schools. They come here. They don't go to Folkestone. They come here. If you're 100 on 121, 100 north from Union County, you're coming here. You're not going to Waldo to the Walmart Supercenter. You're coming to the Walmart here. Baldwin, we have a lot of folks that come over from those areas that we service. Maxville, all the way from Waldy. Waldy don't go to Waldo to go to Walmart. They come here. So those are non-residential impacts that deal with what we do as it relates to our contacts and numbers. So there's a contrast there of crime versus calls for service, crash, stuff like that. So when you look at it from an agency standpoint as far as cost and impact moving forward, you take the same thought process of anybody think back to those 35 years we're talking about. I can name several of them: Copper Creek, Heritage Oaks, Rolling Meadows, Alvarado, Sands Point, Woodlawn, Fox Ridge, all of the areas on the south side of McClenny, north side of McClenny, around the hospital. All of those areas have been brought up in those time frames. Those developments or those things were built in there with no real road infrastructure that come with it to the existing area. So it, creates no traffic accidents and crashes and stuff like that. So what we see as an impact is going to be whether that growth continues at whatever level or not, because as I sit down every year, in a couple of months I'll be going through this process again, budget, I'm a taxpayer. Just like most people, I'm a taxpayer. So when I go through building our budget at the sheriff's office, I look at everything as a taxpayer. But I also have to look at it as a job of what we're supposed to do for our community and how we do it moving forward. What I can tell you is that every year, the county and the city government both struggle to make their budgets. And every single constitutional officer agency has things that they need to do to progress in their area. It's their job too, elected officials and public service. I don't say, well, you're law enforcement, you're more important than anybody else. That's not the way it works. I mean, we're all here to serve the community, and that's what we should do in the best of our ability. But you run into hurdles with that. And I got some serious hurdles moving forward in the way law enforcement is changing and the things we have to do to keep from getting federal dollars as much as we'd like to have them. But I'd rather keep a low crime rate. So if we don't look at growth and try to find the positives in it and what it's going to bring to our community to help county and city governments make these advancements and move forward, then it's going to still, the tax burden will still fall on the current taxpayers that are currently here now. And as I mentioned, I'm a taxpayer too, and I pay a good chunk every year, and I look at it as my taxes going up just like everybody else's. So, so I want to make sure that, that there's not some misrepresentation that some development is also going to bring such major crime to the area. You, like I said, go back through the 30 years we've been here and through the sheriffs that's been here previously and the ones that I've worked for, our agency has done a pretty good job of tamping down that and staying on top of it, and it's no different now. Personnel and costs like that, so when you talk about how you get beyond the cost for vehicles, personnel, and those things, that's where those calls of service comes in. So it's like everything else, you get a gradual number, and I think I think it might have been a little bit of a shock, at least some of the feedback I got, that a lot of folks didn't realize that a new deputy is $80,000 a year just in in his salary and benefits and those things. That's not counting when you put a vehicle and all of those things into play, for them to have to do their job. And so those costs are going to continue to escalate. And at some point, you got this dynamic where your expenses outrun your revenue. And when your expenses outrun your revenue, somebody has to go somewhere to get that money. And so if you could just, say that, when I provide numbers or information as to what impact would be, it's a plus and a negative depending on how you work the dynamics of that. So I don't think there's nothing been presented or nothing that's been done that we as a community couldn't figure out a way to make sure that the current taxpayers don't always continue to foot the bill for these higher costs, whether it has anything to do. I know every year I have to do feed those inmates out there. It's a little over $1 million, and then medical is $2.3 million. And it doesn't matter, every single year, there's a CPI inflation cost to that. So that goes up every year, no matter what. But that's just those two. But you take that across the board in everything we do, when you talk about fuel, equipment, and everything we do, those prices in every line item, all the way down, creep up. And like I said, I know from being involved with our budget process that, the expenses are getting to that point where it's becoming an issue that us as a county group, both governments and us as citizens have to understand that growth is coming, it's going to be here. How do we make it work for us, and what kind of advantages can we take out of it? The sheriff's office is going to continue to do its job related to crime, right? And we're going to do what we're supposed to do to make sure we don't have crime issues, no matter what is decided based on this development. So, but if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Sheriff Cruz. So, the developer also reached out to the superintendent, and neither the sheriff nor the superintendent have weighed in whether they approve anything explicitly. We're not saying yay or nay, but we do want to stay ahead of the curve. We want to be proactive, and we'd like a seat at the table so we can anticipate how this will be dealt with. So I think that the developer has a very positive relationship and dialogue with leaders in the community where we can tackle some of these issues. Another thing that I want us to sort out is that the developer is not inflexible. We really haven't had an opportunity to come to the table and say, hey, what are your high priority items? Let's look at the pluses and negatives. We want that dialogue, and that's the big purpose for the developer this evening. We need to know the heartfelt sense of the commission because time is running out. And when we're finished, we hope we'll have an idea and have some direction, not asking you to pass an ordinance, a resolution, or there's nothing to adopt, but I think you certainly are well within your bounds to express and opine about whether you want your staff to pursue this with vigor or not. And that's what we're looking for, is an answer on that issue. Some of the positives, things that haven't, some things have been mentioned. There's some things that haven't. I want to try to make a real quick list of things that this presents. Entertainment venues. We talked about things we want our kids to have somewhere else to go. Keep them off the highway going to Jacksonville. And also, one qualifier, when you go to Jacksonville, it's typically across the river. Okay? It's an hour's drive there and back, and it's a busy highway. Event venues, restaurants, quality retail shopping. There was a name mentioned earlier, it won't come from me, but I heard something, and that's a very good development. Fire and EMS facilities, law enforcement substations, and ultimately more than one entrance and exit. The city really needs that road going through there to reduce the traffic that's today, and it's absolutely going to increase. Has anybody thought about a community college campus, a high school campus, athletic fields? Regrettably, there were some things that probably hurt the family's feelings about their contribution to the community, and I think rightfully got the feelings hurt. Because I've asked myself, well, who has been a benefactor to this county. I don't think you're gonna find another family that's giving more than that. And I want to contrast that to, of all the developments that we've had in the past 25 years, how many of the developments have given anything other than what was absolutely prescribed by law? They built some streets, they built some narrow streets, not all of them, within their development. And I find it hard to understand when a developer shows up and says, we're going to give you $22 million and we're going to build the road for you through the property. The school board's never been given 20 or 30 acres of land, ever. And this developer will do that. Not marshland. This is land you can build on. That's also proximate to the population center of the community. The developer is really sensitive to the concerns that people have expressed. And the developer is flexible. But what we have to know is whether there's going to be a good faith participation. And we know it's difficult for the city. I think you have somewhere approaching 900 possible home sites within the limits itself, not to mention the things outside the city. We're a small community, we're friendly, and sometimes people kind of get ahead of us. And I think it's sort of like the frog that won't jump in a hot pot of water, but he'll jump in a cool pot of water. You turn it up a little bit at a time, before long he's boiling. And that's kind of where we find ourselves. We know that we are reaching the end, approaching a very big issue with water and sewer in the city. The city needs to do something. I suggest to you this development, Midpoint, represents a nice little patch. It has options to help you solve your problems. It has the engineering expertise, and it's got the financial heel to participate and to design some options that are not just going to benefit Midpoint, it'll benefit every other developer in the community, every other homeowner, by the accessibility of water and sewer, and hopefully, and very realistically, without an increase to the taxes of the folks that are already here. So there's things that this developer has offered and will follow through with, and there's good reason to believe it. And I just gotta tell you, sometimes I feel like we've shown you an ugly baby. I mean, we're proud of our baby. And we think it's beautiful. And we want you to see the beauty in it too. It's going to grow up to be a wonderful, wonderful person. Okay? But you got to get to know us. And we got to know that we're not doing this for naught. And over the years, when I was a judge and now a lawyer, you say, Judge, I applied at the Department of Corrections and they will not hire me. They said that conviction for an expired tag more than 4 months is a deal killer. I say, Bobby, that ain't why they hired you. Okay. Now, sometimes I worry that maybe there's just so much on the plate of the city, and you do have a lot to deal with, and I'm sympathetic with you, and I'm glad you got 2 great lawyers to help you. You're in good standing. It may be that this project is just more than what you can deal with. And this proposal needs a clear and easy answer. Clear is kind. Don't lead us on. Please, we have to know, because it's not just the developer, but there's a room full of people from many, many families. And their children and grandchildren, their posterity's well-being hangs in the balance. And we're going to miss this opportunity on so many levels if we don't get busy. But what we have to have is directions to get busy. And we need to know that. And so again, my consternation or surprise, I thought, why would somebody oppose this? I talked to a dear lifelong friend today. Love the guy. He's awesome. He's not for growth. We went with the pros and the cons. He said, well, Joey, he says, it doesn't matter to me. I am against growth. I'll fight a tooth and toenail till I know we're going to lose, but then I'll move away. Well, that's not completely. That is, a response for people that really want to cling to the way things used to be. And I got an image. You can put this up. And I say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but he's not alone.
is kind of what this looks like. Okay, it's coming. And if we don't get out of the way and get at the switch, we can't control where that train goes. So we don't want this. We have to get behind the wheel and guide this thing. Now, part of the problem, I'm gonna say this is, bear with me, I think this is important, it's a little bit different. I thought about some of the emotional dynamics that affect the decision-making of somebody with that responsibility. And if you will allow me and indulge me, just refer to one of my most important parables. I want to share with you a story of one of the most misunderstood parables that Jesus taught. It's the parable of the talents. Now, most of us are familiar with it, but it wouldn't hurt to walk through it one more time. The master was going on a journey, and before he left, he entrusted his 3 servants with different amounts of money, what the Bible calls talents. To one he gave 5, to another 2, and to the last just 1. Then he left. The first 2 servants immediately got to work. They invested what they were given and doubled their money, but the third, he was afraid. He didn't want to take the risk of losing what he had been given. So what did he do? He buried it. That's right. He hid it away thinking, at least I will not lose it. When the master returned, he praised the first 2 servants, saying, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a little. I will put you in charge of much. But when he got to the 3rd servant, things took a very different turn. The servant said, Master, I knew you were a hard man, so I was afraid. I buried your talent in the ground. Here, it is safe and sound. The master was furious. He called him a wicked and lazy servant and took the talent away, giving it to the one who had the most. Now let's be honest. Who has not had sympathy with the guy that buried the talent? When I thought, hey, I get it. I understand that. But there's something to this lesson that we learn as we work through life and we face challenges. Playing it safe is not what we're always called to do. The master didn't give him the talent to protect it. He gave it to him to use it, to grow it, and make something of it. Now, our little Baker County, we have a talent. Now, we don't have the beaches, and we don't have either side of the St. Johns River, but we have an outstanding piece of space in the middle of this fine state that happens to be the best state in the Union. And the best part of the state of Florida is right here. Like it or not, everybody wants some of it. And they're coming, just like that train. So, I understand the trepidation that people in elected office have to deal with. And the political will of the people can be a cruel master. Nonetheless, you're charged with having to exercise discretion, courage, maturity, wisdom, and sometimes you gotta gamble. You gotta take the chance. And that's the wise thing to do. Now, you can decide however you want to decide, but you can't avoid the decision. And not making a decision is making a decision. So I hope that you will let us know tonight, and I'm not, again, counselors, I'm not asking for any adopted resolution. We're asking for some expression of interest. And we are here because the city asked us in May of 2024. There's been a lot of time and money and energy spent getting here, and we need to know something. We're not saying, we're not trying to be bombastic and bluff or anything like that. We are sincere. And I don't think there's ever been a developer that's come to this county and offered more people of Baker County and has been more transparent and more eager to work because they have a vision for success. And this is going to be a beautiful thing if you can get your mind wrapped around it. And you're not going to make everybody happy. I don't want to get run over by the train. And I've got one more slide I'd like to show you.
So here we have a happy ending. And this is where we want to be. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some cooperation, some collaboration. The developer, there are people of goodwill. There are people with a book of business and a gallery of success on their projects that's second to none. The engineering firm they hired is the best engineering firm in the southeast United States. They have a book of business that is extraordinary. This is part of what they can bring to the table, not just the financial heel, but the experience, expertise to work with the city. Because, look, we know we can help you, and you know you like something. We can help chart a path to a bright future. And when we are able to get homes and jobs close by, there's one thing that I think is critical, and I want to end on this, that you can't overlook. In church, one of the guest preachers said, children spell love, T-I-M-E. And we know how many people get in their vehicle, moms and dads, and drive across the river to get a job that is somehow matching their college education, their experience, whatever they're doing, their length of time to work. And that adds up to a day and a half, a week behind the wheel on Interstate 10. Just think about what we could do. And my secretary today said, Joey, do you mind if I leave 10 minutes early to catch the baseball game? I said, you're doggone right. She used to work in Jacksonville. She said, I couldn't make it if I had still worked in Jacksonville. When I was a little boy, I can't think of my coach's name because I haven't thought about him in so long until recently. We go over to, there's a little baseball diamond by the middle school. That's where we have practice. So we get out there and we be playing and messing around, and here comes our coach, and a bunch of dust driving up as fast as he could because he was leaving from work. He'd get out there and work with us on the basics as much as time allowed before the sun went down. Just think what he could teach us if he could get there an hour earlier. I'm not just talking about baseball. I'm talking about life lessons. A mentor. Time spent with kids by people that love them as family or neighbors is one of the things that's going to make our community safe and prosperous and stable. And we can be different than everybody else because whatever happens, we know that we value family, we value tradition, and we need a little help bumping it up. And this project will do that. I hope you'll consider it favorably. And I ask right now, would you please share with us, are you interested in having a dialogue in earnest with energy to get moving? And it may be after we have that dialogue that we find out that we're just not a good dance partner. No hard feelings if that happens. There might be, although the developer is very, very flexible, I'm going to tell you there's nothing I can think of right now that's a big deal killer. Because, hey, good minds working together can solve a lot of problems. It might look like a deal killer at first. So, Mr. Mayor, would you please share with us whether we should continue to wait upon further and more deliberate work?
Well, first thing I'd have to do is ask staff and council if they have any questions, concerns, statements. Yes.
I'm very, very concerned if you're asking for even a yes vote at this point. This is not an agenda item.
No, I'm not asking for that.
Very uncomfortable. In fact, I would tell you not to ask, have a vote.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, questions, concerns, statements?
Could ask Byron, close
Byron?
some direction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any other comments.
Thank you, Mr. Flood. Commissioners, any of you have any questions, concerns, statements?
Well, I have one thing I'd just like to commend Mr. Burnham on the information that he gave. I think it was very educational. So, like we say, we're not voting on anything, but what the knowledge that he have and what he gave us tonight is just something, that is very, we thank you for giving us that information, Mr. Burnham. And also you, Glenn, with the information you gave, you know, on the, talking to the city manager earlier. But other than that, I think it's a good intro, but, you know, that's all I can say. I just thank you for your time, you know.
Mr. Mayor, I do have something, and I realize that Macclenny and Baker County, you know, we're a crossroads in growth, and I realize that. But how do we manage that growth? I think that's the $64,000 question. I don't believe in my heart that this board is anti-growth. I just don't believe that. I don't think we are. You know, we have approximately, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 900 plats that's already been approved. We're just waiting for the developer to start, you know, start digging, you know, and, you know, which will take a pretty good bit of our capacity. I think a lot of people don't understand what our capacity actually is. And one thing we have to do too is be careful to keep our rural heritage. But we all love Macclenny and Baker County is our rural heritage. If I wanted to live in Jacksonville, I'd move to Jacksonville, you know, and I don't want to bring Jacksonville to Macclenny. The question is, well, will this development add value to Macclenny and Baker County? That's the question. That's the question we're going to have to answer. Will it be a burden on the taxpayers, the existing taxpayers? That's another question that has to be answered. I'm assuming that we're not going to entertain any motions or anything.
Not on the agenda. The way the rules, ordinances, and laws work, we have to advertise the agenda, and it would have to have been. And
I would like for us as commissioners and mayor to put on paper our concerns and share them with our city manager. At least then he knows what our and he probably already knows, but I mean, but at least have it you know in writing. I mean, I do understand that the developer would like to know something. You have to negotiate, and we may be so far apart that there's no way we can get close. But and I understand. I think I understand where we're at. I think I understand where the developer's at, and I guess we need to move to that point, to where at least we can say, this just ain't for us. Like I said, we got a lot of stuff on our plate already, and capacity is an issue. We're not hoarding capacity. We're holding the capacity for the development that we already have lined up. So, but anyway, that's all I got.
thank you, Commissioner Norton. This mayor is certainly not anti-growth. I'm pro-growth. I am. I would be remiss, and I was through a lot of this meeting, I've been praying for wisdom and discernment, and what to say and what not to say. There's two things that I have to say. One is I'm a little befuddled because I certainly know a lot of folks personally from the NAB family, or that are extensions of the NAB family, and they have done tremendous things for the city and for the county. And I was a little set back and confused about who said they didn't pay their fair share, or they didn't contribute, or didn't pay their taxes. I didn't say that. And we keep real good records and minutes, and we record these meetings. So I'm not sure whether, but I didn't say that. Their contributions have been nothing short of amazing. And me and my family at the sports complex, other places have enjoyed that. So that's one thing I'd say. The other thing I would be remiss if I didn't say this is I do feel just a wee bit strong-armed right now, and maybe I'm just being overly sensitive. I've certainly been accused of that in the past, but I do feel a little bit leaned on, and again, maybe I'm just being overly sensitive. But the slide with the train, the guy on the tracks, rubbed me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't care for it at all. Didn't think it was appropriate or in good taste. And I love you, Joey. You know that. I've known you for years. Didn't think it was a good choice. And what you said was very emotional, very, very spirited, very little theatrical. I'm kind of a expert on that. There are a few things that I'm glad to hear that people, and I want to make sure I'm general enough to keep myself out of trouble here, that different places are negotiable and different things like that. But I can tell you that, and Mr. Burnham, you did a very nice job. I agree with what you gentlemen said on that, but I'm still not sold. I will tell you that as well. I'm not sold. And there are things within the plan that I think are awesome, and there are things in that plan that are showstoppers for me. And really, that's all I can say or should say, given that we don't have a petition.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm not against city staff and attorneys sitting down with them again. Our city manager knows all of our concerns. Every one of them. He's talked to every one of us many, many times.
Separately because of sunshine law.
Yeah, sunshine law separately. Which don't get me started on sunshine law. But anyway, Tallahassee breaks it every day. And they went up, they're like the Pharisees in the Bible. They make rules they can't even keep themselves. Anyway, every law and rule in Tallahassee is made behind closed doors. All right, I'll shut up about that. But I don't have, and I know this board don't have a problem if they want to sit down with the city manager and staff one more time and let the city manager say, all right, this is issues. What can y'all do? What do you want to negotiate on this? Can you? Any wiggle room on this? I mean, we kept everybody long enough, but if they're willing to do that, he knows all of our concerns. Get our attorneys together with the city, staff, and let them get with y'all one more time, and he can tell you exactly where the problems are. The people don't realize St. John River Water Management has cut, they call it cut, I call it cap. They have use permit. Yeah. They've lowered our cut twice in 4 years.
Yeah, not raised it, lowered it.
Lowered it.
Well, they lowered it 3 years ago, from what
we had before. Okay. So that's an issue. Because I think the developer right now is dealing with the issue about water, because y'all have no idea how much water that's going to take. We don't have it. Even if they up that, we don't have it. And like Ben Norton said, Commissioner Norton said, we got close to 1,000 pieces of property in Macclenny that we got to allow water and sewer for, because not saying they don't pay taxes, but they're going to pay taxes for years because they're in the city limits. Some of them even paid up front. And if y'all want to sit down and go over the concerns, we can do that, and everybody can go home and watch TV.
Mr. Mayor said no problem with that. I really like what he said.
And I feel it. I feel the sense of urgency. I do, Councilor Williams, I do. And I know you want to hear a yes or a no, but honestly, if I were to say yeah, or any of us, I'd be doing you a disservice, because I might say one of those things, and don't worry, I'm not. I might say one of those two things, well-meaning and feeling it, and then as things unfold and I learn new things, I may have realized I said this or this to Mr. Williams and to the family and to the developer. And now, with what I know, I don't feel that, and I don't want to put you, them, or myself in that position. That's not fair to you. I don't want to do that.
But I want to make sure that you're clear as to the developer's position and request. The developer is not asking you to say yes or no to any point issue, annexation, plan, or anything. And I'm not asking that you have to pass a motion. I was looking to hear something like Commissioner Warren articulated and Commissioner Sam articulated, because we know that, hey, we're still willing to work with you. That's what we need. And we need to have a sense that, hey, it's not just window dressing. We really mean it. Because we are running out of time. Is everybody?
I'm fine. I'm with.
I'm amenable to that, absolutely. You're well aware of what we there. And again, I don't want to be unclear about it. There's just things I loved about the plan. And I've had people corner me in the grocery store, the gas station, tell me what they loved about it. I've also been cornered at the pharmacy and at the convenience store and been told what they hated about it. All right, so that's such the joys of the life of a small town mayor.
Mr. Mayor, what's the best way to move on with the suggestion that Commissioner?
Well, he said he's got his marching orders, so
Mr. Byron's not
Right now, it's in their court to ask for the annexation of what they want to ask for. As you said at the very beginning of this meeting, nothing is pending before the city at this time. And it would be purely speculation. And I don't think the Sunshine Law, in spite of what the legislature does, is going to allow you to start speculating on it.
So I think that I've heard enough to kind of know what direction you guys want to go.
Mr. Mayor.
Right. Commissioner Norton.
Should we make a list? I mean, I know Mike knows pretty much. He's talked individually, of course.
I would like to put this issue to rest and let our city manager and representatives and attorneys deal with this. Move on from here.
I made my list verbally, publicly, the last workshop we had. So, you know which parts I find untenable and which parts I find wonderful.
We've got a moving request from the commissioner to go on with your agenda.